Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, it's Regit and welcome back to the Battle Cats Beginner's Guide. This will mark the end of the fourth series where we will complete Into the Future Chapter 1, and here I am at the end of it. Well, roughly. We have Floating Continent to do, and then, as always at the end of these chapters, Moon to do. In the previous few episodes, we've been gathering a little bit of gacha and stuff like that for when we need it, because it's not possible to do things without it, which is the sort of stage that we're reaching within the game. And we're ultimately on a quest for 1,600 user rank to be able to make our Bahamut cat competitive enough to be able to do enough damage that it needs to be able to get through the rest of the craze stages, or at least some of them. These last two levels are usually quite difficult. Now, just to let you know, I have got quite a lot of anti-alien treasure. As always, it's very important to get as much treasure as you can. Don't ever really discount it as a thing to do. If you're not being able to beat a stage, first thing that you should ask yourself is, have I got all the treasure that could help me? So at the start of this level, you're given a nice wide berth. I'll use my eraser, which I have in the true form. If you don't have it in that, it's probably fine, but seeming as we needed to have it in the true form before, I think it's fair enough to suggest that it should be in that form now. But if you don't have that form, always do give it a go and see what happens. Using the cat cannon to knock them back and keep them what's known as synced so that they're attacking the same thing at the same time and not doing loads of damage to different cats. And with all four meat shields going, that provides a nice opportunity for Bahamut to do big shots and kill all of them, giving us a load of monies. And with the level 3 worker cat, we don't hit the max, which is also very useful. For Floating Continent, the most important thing is to get a huge stack of all your cats ready. You'll probably hit the deploy limit like that, at which point you should just plow monies into upgrading the worker cat. And when you do hit the deploy limit, maybe only focus on your more expensive meat shields like the eraser. Once you get to the base, you've got to be waiting for the enemy to come out. There's a Croxo there, a little squishy alien enemy, and there's an Imperator Sile there. And here is the big bad boss of them all, Nimoy Boar. Quite difficult to defeat if you don't have any alien slowers or freezers. If you do have any of them in your army, make sure to put them in there. You can check for that by going into the filter, clicking on alien, and then finding the ability which has slow or freeze. Click on both and it will find units for you that do either of them. Of course, this being the beginner's guide, I'm going to try my very best to do this in the kind of no-gacha way that we've been meaning to go on with. But it may be that we can't do that. There's constant support for the Nimoy Boar in the form of the seal, which is annoyingly behind it, as well as the morph, which is. So you're trying to defeat an enemy with loads of health, while other enemies behind it are chomping away at you and doing loads of damage. The only real hope now is to get Bahamut out, and so to do that, you might want to just put out erasers, and although the enemies will move closer to you, you're saving up enough monies to get your unit, because if you're putting out all your meat shields, you're not actually going to be making any monies. It's going to be very close, but I'm going to be able to get Bahamut and then rapidly meat shield as fast as you can after that, and hope that the area of effect will kill off a decent amount of stuff, enough to get some units like Valkyrie Cat, again spamming the meat shields out to try and kill them off. Unfortunately, that's evidently not going to work, but it was a decent shot, and if you've paused before you've lost, you can give it another try without losing any energy. A lot of guide makers will just show you them being successful, but I think it's quite important within a guide to show you what hasn't worked so that it's more obvious what does. So the last time we didn't upgrade the worker cat quite enough, because that's a very important part of this battle. By continually upgrading the worker cat, we've got it to level 5. I wouldn't advise doing level 6 here just because we have enemies to actually deal with. I'm then going to put out one more razor and then a Bahamut. Reason being that if I put him out now, the recharge time towards another Bahamut is going to be ticking down slowly and surely, and that should help us get one sooner rather than later. Loads of enemies here now, so I'm just going to bring out all the meat shields, cannon these back before Bahamut takes a shot, and there we go. We've got to level 7 worker cat. Always try to do an upgrade before a large amount of enemies die, and then you can make the most of the revenue that they generate. Unfortunately, as well as you might do, Floating Continent might be one of those levels where you need that gacha. Less representative for everyone, but actually probably possible. And if you have any Ubers or things like that, that's probably likely to make it a lot easier. But it would be important to check what the boss HP was. We got him down to 36%, which is reasonable. And if you have loads of cat food and you're really struggling, perhaps on a level like this, you could use continue. I wouldn't advise it. Try everything else first. Rover Cat is an anti-alien, alien-resistant unit, which should keep us in the running for a lot longer. Now, I haven't got any other gacha units that are really going to help with this, but I can structure the army to make it suit this kind of level a little bit better. As we got the crazed tank recently, and I've now got plenty of XP from treasure farming, I can upgrade that a little bit, and I will take the opportunity to, because it's going to be a very useful meat shield and should help us, along with Rover Cat, to last a lot longer. That's taken out a lot of my XP, but now that's at its current max level. If you have those kind of alien slowers or freezers, an Uber with nice long range, especially an anti-alien one, you can afford to probably have fewer meat shields than that. I wouldn't go any lower than 4, but 5 can be a bit excessive, but that's what we're going to have to work with the units that we currently have. A Sniper the Cat would probably help to get the occasional knockback on Nimoy Boar, which is more than welcome. The additional help of the Sniper Cat is at the start, it's going to take care of some of these enemies, so that might give us an even better opportunity to save up our Worker Cat. If you got the Rover in your loadout, don't bother using it at the start here, because it's resistant to Alien and not Angel, and it will probably just die and sap your funds away. So use your other meat shields and Bahamut, probably most likely, to again help the recharge time and get off the large area of effect damage that you arguably need. I'm going to cannon these back because the Gabriel Doge there is fast and does quite a lot of damage in the scheme of things and could easily dislodge my Bahamut, which I really don't need it doing. Bahamut's going to take a shot and is probably going to be fine. Got to level 7 Worker Cat, and with those deaths can get to level 8 Worker Cat. Now, Bahamut's probably going to move forward after that. I'm going to start getting Rovers after these enemies are dead to try and build up a load of them so that we have a nice resistant kind of wall and build up a nice nest egg of monies to spend when the going gets tough, when the boss is about. Our third attempt at the Nimoy Boar, this time with more meat shielding and our Sniper the Cat, which should really help us. As you can see, they're immediately getting a knockback, which is oftentimes going to help Bahamut get a shot that he otherwise would not manage to get. Valkyrie, as you can see there, has died a death, and to be honest, most units are going to be better than her at doing the job, but unfortunately in the state that we're at, there's not really anything better that I can use. Bahamut there died an unfortunate death himself just before he managed to pull off a shot, but we're relatively close to the next one. This is the best shot that we have. Hopefully Bahamut gets the shot in. He does, kills some stuff. We'll get another Valkyrie, cannon these back so they don't hit my Bahamut. He does move forward though, probably neutralizing the effect, but there's not much that you can actually do about that. We got an important knockback from the Sniper Cat there, allowing Bahamut to get a shot off, as mentioned before. Another Imperator Sar's dead, so we get another shot on the Nimoy Boar. We're running a bit low on monies now, so it's just important to try and get out as many meat shields as possible. There we go. Looks like the Sniper Cat quite possibly has finished off the Nimoy Boar, and it's dead. We've got through it with our increased meat shielding, use of Sniper the Cat, and possibly a little bit of gacha. But to be fair, if you have the crazed tank, you might not need that Rover, and that will be useful to people who don't have it. But if you do have it, definitely use it. Very good meat shield for the into the future stages on the whole. I'm going to be using the same layout for the moon, and truth be told, this is where the sort of differences between a guide like this and the sort of units that you have at your disposal really come to the fore and are quite important. So I'm going to spend a short amount of time talking about that. Now, the point at which you get to this kind of level in your game, you're bound to have plenty of gacha units because you've been spending your cat food hopefully in responsible ways like guaranteed Uber rolls, so you should at least have a couple of Ubers by this point, one would think. Whether they're anti-alien or not, they'll often have enough range to be useful or be fast enough to get attacks in if they do have a shorter range. And something that's super rare, like a Hacker Cat, is extremely useful for a level like this because it can stay in the background, not get hit, and do loads of gradual damage and help you beat the stage. In this guide, have nothing of the sort. The best I can muster is the same as was for the floating continent, my best anti-alien being Rover Cat, which, although good, isn't good enough to carry me through the level. So to demonstrate winning this, I will have to use my Japanese Battle Cats account here. So I've got much the same cats as before, but I've also got Neo Psycho Cat on the bottom row, which slows aliens and can be very useful, especially for the Nimoy Boar in the level before. And I've also got the super rare Katatsu Cat, at a low level admittedly, but this one is resistant to floating. I've also got the cat I mentioned, Hacker Cat, very important. That's also a super rare, can stay at a long distance and do loads of damage, especially when you eventually can stack them in a long-winded level. And when you use something like that, you want to bring a rich cat with you in the moon level and a CPU. And the idea is, with relatively cheap units, so perhaps fewer meat shields than I have here, you can just let the CPU do its magic, just let it keep going, fighting the stacks, and will eventually build up its own stack of loads of hacker cats so that you can actually beat the level with it. It's actually possible to defeat it in much the same way with fewer units. In fact, on this run, I very almost managed to do it with the addition of just the Psycho Cat. Now, bear in mind, levels on this are a little bit higher. For example, the Eraser is plus 14, but not ridiculously out of the prospect to what levels you might have yourself. And although I needed a tiny bit more than that, it's probably possible to complete the level even if you just have the Hacker Cat by itself. Will be good enough with nothing else pretty much if you have enough meat shielding to get through it eventually, especially with like a CPU. Essentially, you need more units than I have on this beginner account, but it's definitely possible. I recognise there are probably still going to be many questions, so definitely ask me then, and I can answer you then. Hopefully, I can lead your strategies to success if it isn't already there. Ta-ra!